Okay. Welcome to the Courage to Speak podcast. I really appreciate you doing this.
I'm
I
glad to
know
be here.
it's a heavy topic, but I really appreciate you doing this. Hopefully, between the both of us, we can encourage other people to get the weight off of their shoulders.
And have the courage to speak.
You have the courage to speak. Exactly. So, for the people, let them know who you are and if you would like, maybe where you're from.
Okay, I am Charmaine Alto. I'm a spiritual life coach and healer based in the Atlanta metro area. Um, I got into this work because I had experienced a lot of things in my life, and I know that other women were also experiencing them, but instead of growing from them or through them, they were sitting in them. So I work with
Mm.
people to release things that they have experienced so that they can create the lives that they deserve and that they actually love.
So tell me about who you were before you started doing this work. How long have you been in this lane?
So I wrote my book. It's called Hey Little Black Girl for the Unhealed Little Black Girl in You. I wrote and published that in 2019. Um, and honestly, if I can speak frankly, I was a shit show. I was a shit show before then. Um,
Okay.
I was like many people that I see today, sitting in everything that I had ever experienced, and I was feeling victimized by my life. Eventually, you get tired of being the victim and you decide, I want something outside of this, and I wonder if that is possible and available to me. So I went on my search looking for what was available to me. But what I did, which is what a lot of people do, instead of clearing out the old and setting things on a solid foundation, I was trying to build on top of an already rocky foundation. So I had to restart over and over and over. And I felt like I was stuck on a loop, stuck in a cycle because I never really got to A, I never had the courage to speak. And when I did get the courage to speak, someone attempted to silence me. But at that point, I was like, no, I've lived that already and I know what that looks like. So I'm going to do something different. And that something different took me on a journey, a spiritual awakening, a healing journey, a self love journey. All those things had to be birthed through me in order for me to shift out of being the victim.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit because the way I even reached out to you or found you is because I saw a clip you did basically telling your story. And
Hmm.
when we did talk, you shared with me that Aaron Lyons encouraged you to do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So give, I don't know, how do you mind telling the story, like as much of it as you want, even if it
Yeah.
was just, yeah, what I saw, just to give people the idea of what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay. So I was raised in one of those households where what happens in this house stays in this house, right? And I was also a latchkey kid. I don't know if I'm telling my age by saying that, but I would come home,
One
right?
point.
My brother and I, we would come home and we would just be there, and adults would come in and out all day. So one of the adults that frequented my home was my aunt's husband, and he began molesting me from the age, or at the age of 8 till 11 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, to the point where when I was 11, I actually thought that I was impregnated by him. And
Mm.
I began to take measures to terminate that pregnancy. all on my own. I felt like I couldn't say anything. I felt like I couldn't tell anybody. I felt like I was tainted. I felt so many different emotions, and it definitely showed up in different ways all the way until I was almost 30.
Wow.
I
I have
carried
some
that.
questions.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to end up getting to that. I already asked you, like, so what did you, so before this happened to you, who were you? What did you like to do? Were you an outgoing
Yeah.
type?
Yeah. So before this happened, I was actually always a quiet child. I was
Okay.
quiet. I was a people pleaser. Um, and I learned that because I didn't grow up with my mother. She and my father separated when I was a baby, and
Okay.
well, my siblings and I stayed with my father. So I was always kind of seeking that love, and that showed up in people pleasing. And if anybody needed anything, oh, I can do it. Oh, I know where it is. I was that girl. In school, I was always quiet because I felt like I did not belong. So I wanted to
Mm.
shrink myself just to kind of fit in. But I'm almost 6 feet. I was always the tallest person in the class. So I never really was hiding. And I was always very, very smart. So I would still be getting recognition, even though I was trying to play small and shrink myself and just to go with the flow and fit into a bubble. That's who I
So prior
was.
to, oh, sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
Prior to that happening, had you experienced anything like for me, I might mention a couple of things that I've gone through in that manner as well, as far as being violated. But for me, prior to that happening, I had kind of gotten ridiculed, like because I was overweight, you know. So prior to that happening to you at 11, did you go through anything like that, being bullied or anything like that?
I really didn't get bullied until I went to middle school.
Okay.
And I don't know. Yes, I do know. At the time, I did not know why it felt like I was subjected to all this bullying from people that I didn't know. But now I understand that it was a vibrational thing because I thought
Mhm.
so small of myself. I was radiating that, and other people thought the same. And because I did not speak up or stick up for myself because I was such a people pleaser, I was radiating that and I was attracting that.
Wow. I could definitely relate to that being a people pleaser. And I didn't have a lot of confidence. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't know
Yeah,
how
me
to speak.
neither.
It took me a long time to start speaking up for myself. And I definitely was an adult when that happened.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
how, okay, so you went through that at the age from 11 to, from 8 to 11, you
From
said?
8 to 11.
Um, how old were you when you finally decide to say something to somebody?
29, 30
Yeah.
years old. Yeah, I was an adult. I had my own children. I had been married for years. And for some reason, it's like I could not get over that hump. It was always
Mhm.
something that I felt like defined who I was until I said, no, life can look so much better than this. It has to look better than this. I'm watching other people live lives that's way better than this, and they're not sitting in this. So I have to do something about it. So yeah,
So what,
I was almost 30.
okay. So going through that experience and having just keeping it to yourself, what did that cost you? How did it show up in your life on a daily basis, in your
Mm.
relationships and stuff like that?
Well, I thought my body was my biggest offer.
Mm,
And I felt like I did not have autonomy over myself. I felt like always kind of on edge, watching over my
mm,
shoulder, not able to fully trust men, not able to fully trust, period. and also being hyper vigilant over my children, which is kind of necessary today, but not to the point where I'm projecting my experiences onto their realities.
Did you find that did you go through any kind of depression? Did you
Oh,
find
oh, oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I was actually on depression medication. When I was a child, my mother passed. I think I was 10 years old when she passed. And this is like slap dab in the middle of also
Mhm,
being sexually molested.
mhm.
My family thought I was crazy. So I started seeing a psychiatrist, and every time I would go, I would get a new prescription, new medicine, new this, new that, until I really became a shell of myself. So I was laying on the sofa all day while all the other kids are outside playing hide and seek. They're outside running around and riding bikes and racing. I was in the house on the sofa, either sleeping, reading, or watching Disney Channel. So, yes, I have had challenges with waves of depression since a child.
Yeah, I remember when I had my experience as a teenager, my best friend told me when we got older. And once she told me is when I recognized it, but she was like, you used to cry a lot and just you cried a lot, but it appeared to us that it was for nothing. I didn't even know I was depressed.
Mm,
I didn't even know I was depressed until I became an adult and just really started addressing what I had gone through. And I'm like, oh my God, that's why I cried so much. I was depressed.
yeah. And I dealt with
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. Oh my gosh. The
Mm-hmm.
anxiety was insane. Like they knew me on a first name basis in the nurse's office and at school. It
Yeah.
got to the point where my father was so upset because I would have so many anxiety attacks that he started whooping me because I was having anxiety attacks. But I
Oh,
understand, they didn't really grasp fully A, being an empath, then holding all these things in and no one really pulling you to the side and say, hey, what's going on with you, girl? That's why
right.
I take time and I make sure that I check in with my kids. Come here, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I did to my son for a long time, just constantly telling him to let me know, if anybody touches him inappropriately and these type of things. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember. I'm 54. I don't know how old you are, but I
You
don't
look
remember.
great.
Oh, thank you. I don't remember anybody coming to me and actually having that conversation. Like my mom, she didn't even know how to talk to me about that kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
I remember talking to one of her friends the first time that I thought that I may have wanted to have sex. And then when I did, the friend went to my mom, like I'm assuming she said something like, you need to talk to your daughter. Even then, my mom didn't have the words. She just
Mm.
didn't know what to say to me. And to this day, I can honestly say I've never had that talk with my mom, like,
What?
baby girl, this is, like the talk that you should have with your children. Never. To this day, even when I share what happened to me with my mom, she can't hear it. She
Mm.
just she does this.
Oh,
You know what I'm
wow.
saying? Yeah. And so it's unfortunate, but it made me realize like there's a lot of us that have this secret and
Yeah.
we're too afraid to say anything. And then when
Yes.
you do say something, that's the attitude like, oh no, I don't want to hear that. They can't face it because my mom, even more recently, honestly, like 2 weeks ago, because I still talk about it. I want her to know this happened to your baby girl. I know that you feel like I was always with you and how could this happen and these kinds of things, but mama, this happened you
Yeah.
know. And so, like 2 weeks ago, she was apologizing and she was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel like I should have been, you're my only daughter. I'm so
Mm.
sorry. I feel like I needed to be there for you more. than I was. So even as a like I was a kid again when I had that conversation with her, and that was 2 weeks ago, you know. So the child had been longing for that
Yeah.
conversation. But I did want to ask you, so how did you deal having this person around before you got older and started saying something? How did that go? You know, of course, I'm sure you still saw him after as you got
Yeah.
older.
No. So it stopped at 11 because that's when they divorced.
Okay.
So I didn't have to see him or be around him or anything like that. And I think I was so happy. I remember being ecstatic to hear that they were getting a divorce. I do remember
Wow.
that. I
So
remember
did
being
anything
happy.
ever to you when you were young? Nobody ever
So,
came to you?
and I think that's the importance of having your mother in your life. My grandmother and my grandfather, they did a phenomenal job. I always say, I feel like they saved me and my siblings' lives. But no, no one pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay?" No one. When I started seeing the psychiatrist, I still didn't get that pull to the side. It was, we're gonna take you to talk to somebody. Um, and I never had a one-on-one. Anytime that I would, because at that time I also attempted to commit suicide for the first time.
How old
And
were you?
I was 11.
Oh, so okay, okay,
It was either, because remember, I thought I was pregnant. So it was
okay.
either I'm gonna kill this baby or I'm gonna kill myself and this baby. So
And so the suicide attempt, is that the reason why they thought you were crazy? Wow. Even
no,
after that, nobody said like,
no,
what?
no. So that's not the reason they thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy because when my mother passed, I she came to visit me and I shared that with my grandmother. Um, yeah, so I had this whole vision of her, and it was so real. And I shared it, and that's when they were like, "You're gonna go talk to somebody," but it wasn't because of the suicide attempt or anything like that. Honestly, when I attempted suicide, I wrote a letter, and my grandmother found it. And instead, even then, I love my grandma. I love her. But even then, I didn't get that pull to the side. Let's talk about what's going on. It was like, I can't believe you would write something like this. I was shamed for it, basically. Yes. And I feel like that's a pattern that more people are experiencing than they want to admit.
Yeah, I was shamed. Honestly, I didn't think about killing myself until I got older. But when I was about 10 years old, I was going to run away from home.
Yeah.
And I had wrote a letter, had the backpack hidden under my bed, and my mom found it. And instead of her saying, and let me just say this, my mom was an alcoholic then and still is an alcoholic. So I just don't know if she was just even equipped to deal with these kinds of things. But instead of her saying, like, why do you want to run away? She shamed me and
Yeah.
she threatened me and she told me like how stupid the idea was. And do you want to run away and so somebody can get a hold of you and chop you up into a bunch of little pieces? Like that was her instilling the fear in me of not running away. But
Yeah.
she never came to me and said, why do you want to run away? You know, so I just think I don't know. Because
That
for
makes
me,
me think, like,
I'm sorry.
that makes me think, because at the time I was like, what the hell? Right? But now, as an adult, I'm like, well, what happened in their lives where they didn't feel safe enough to be seen, to be heard, to be protected, to where that they think this is the proper response to these things. So it did make me hold more compassion and more grace for them because my mother, you said your mother was an alcoholic. My mother was absent, but she was addicted to crack. And I've heard so many stories about she was on drugs and she could drink a man under the table and this and that and the third. But no one can ever tell me why. What was
Right.
she trying to escape from? Did she have these experiences as well?
Yes. And so I decided to talk to my mom about that recently. Um, because a friend of mine is a therapist and she was like, have you ever talked to your mom about this? Had she gone through these kinds of things? She's been an alcoholic since she was a teenager. She's been drinking. Like, have you ever talked to her about it? And I'm like, you know what? No, I haven't. So I started trying to talk to her about it. According to her, there was only one thing that happened where my great grandmother's boyfriend flirted with her when she was about 16. But
Mm,
outside of that, she says that nothing nothing like physical happened. So I'm thinking, maybe she forgot. Or maybe it's just something that she just would rather not address,
yeah.
you know? But yeah, for me, I'm like, you don't just become an alcoholic as a teenager for nothing.
Yeah, right.
So I'm at this point, I'm just like, I have to accept what she says,
Yeah.
and that's what it is.
Take it
But
as her truth.
yeah, yeah. So when you decided to finally say something, how long did it take you? Like, how long did it take you to say, you know what, I'm about to say something, to actually saying something?
Um, I would say the first person I told was my husband. And when I decided I was going to say it, I said it. Yeah, so it
Okay.
wasn't like a delay or anything. I just said it. And once I said it out loud and my world didn't come crashing down, I was like, oh, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to put it
Yeah.
all in a book. When the book came out, I was told, you shouldn't have put that in there. He still works for the Board of Education and you could get him in trouble.
Okay. And
He should not be working around any children. He
and
should get
so
in trouble.
he did get in trouble. Did anything transpire from that? Did he try to confront you? Did any of the family confront you?
Oh my God. So no, I've never heard from him or seen him again in my entire life since I was 18 years. I'm sorry, 11 years old. My
Okay.
family, I actually have not spoken to most of my family since then.
The aunt who was married to him, what happened with her? Did she read the book, or I'm sure somebody told
Oh,
her?
the entire family read the book. I didn't even know my family read. But when I wrote that book, all of a sudden everybody is a reader. So, yes, she read the book and there was some conversation about she's lying. Because why would she wait this long to say something? If that really happened to her, she would have been said something. Well, I clearly did not feel safe enough to say something, or I would have said something. And your reaction, the reaction that I got, the reaction of the response that I got as an adult, 11-year-old me would not have been able to handle.
Okay. Yeah. That probably would have definitely pushed you over the edge.
Yeah, it would have.
So is there anybody in your life that wanted to retaliate, even as after you got older as an adult? I've seen clips around, like I saw a clip of this guy showing up at some kind of board meeting because his wife told him what happened to her when she was younger. And it took some years for him to be able to track down the person who violated her. It was an authority figure at her school. And he showed up at this board meeting and he went on the stage and he confronted the guy in person. You know, everybody's adults now. Did that happen with you? Did your husband, was he ready to kill somebody? Like,
No, the what I will say is my brother and my sister, they stood beside me when the entire family was like, she's lying, da, 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 why would she say this? And also, we don't have the best relationship, but I will say my father responded in a way to where he was like ready to find the guy
yeah,
and do something.
okay. How did that make you feel, knowing that like there's somebody that actually believes me? Because did you run into a situation where most people thought you were lying, and like maybe only your dad and your brother and sister felt like
Yes.
you
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And it's kind of insane to me because why would I pull that out the air or pull that out my behind and just put this on this person? This is, if you look back at the way that I was as a child, all of the signs were there. So,
Mhm.
truthfully, I was not very surprised by the people who said, well, she's lying and why would she wait? Da, 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 based on how they are, how I know them to be. I was more surprised by my father feeling the way that he felt because I never really felt protected by him as a child. So I did say, well, wow, if I would have said something then, would he have done something or said something then? And
Because you
that's that.
said you were pretty much, were you raised by your dad or your grandparents? You said your grandparents.
My father's parents raised me, and he was kind of, we'll see him when we saw him.
Okay, okay.
But I did not see my mother's family at all. So my paternal grandparents raised me, and my father was kind of in and out. He was in the streets, but he would pop up
Mhm.
every now and then and kind of be present.
Do you know, or do you think that you were the only person that the uncle messed with?
Um, so I think I was the only person that he messed with because there are only three girls in my family.
Okay.
And my older sister, I don't think she was messed with at all. My female cousin, she was always kind of isolated. They lived over there. We saw them on the holidays and in the summers. So I do think I
Okay.
was the only person that he messed with. And it was bold. Like there would be a house full of people sometimes. And he would go, come here, let me pick you up, let's wrestle. And the whole time he's fondling me. And I'm like, why is nobody saying this grown man should not be wrestling with a little girl?
Right, right, right. So he just got comfortable after a while.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm. So annoying. Um, so do you feel like you said that you thought that your body was like after you got older, you felt like your body was, I can't remember the words you used. I'm
Not my
sorry.
own. I didn't have autonomy over my own body.
Okay. So what I recognize is either some people become very loose with their
Mm-hmm.
bodies, or some people hate sex, they hate men, they don't want to talk about sex. That was me, But then I have a friend who went through some things, and she was just after a while, it was just like anybody could get it. You know what I'm saying? She
So
got real loose.
mine wasn't necessarily um promiscuity. It was more of not having sexual boundaries.
Okay. Okay.
Not saying, no, I don't like that, or no, I don't want that. It was not speaking up for myself, my body, because it's not mine. Okay,
Yeah,
whatever you would like.
yeah. So do you feel like any of your family, so at to this day, because you wrote your book like what, six years ago, 7 years ago?
7 years ago.
To this day, like did everybody just ghost you after that? Like completely? Has anybody come around?
So for a while, it was taboo to talk to me. When I wrote my book, my cousin is a photographer, and I wanted him to take the photos for my cover. I ended up not using them because it the pictures took too long to get back. But he let me know that he received backlash for taking my pictures. So it was like we don't talk to her. I do have two cousins, well, three cousins that I eventually did, get close with again after they were kind of able to weed through the nonsense and make their own choices and decisions. But other than those three cousins and my siblings, no, I don't have a relationship. We don't talk. We don't speak. We can be in the same room at the same function, and they're invisible to me, and I'm invisible to them.
That's devastating. And so how do you deal with that? How did you, so let's talk about you be starting your healing journey because you said something when you got older. So you dealt with that alone from the age of 11 until almost 30 years old.
Yes,
And I'm assuming this is the period of time where you were going through the major depression.
yes. I was going through major depression, and honestly, I could not show up as the mother that I wanted to show up as. And I felt like I couldn't show up as the wife that I wanted to show up as. And I created hell on earth for myself.
Mhm.
And I really was just tired of being so unhappy. It was like either I'm going to figure out how to make this work, or I'm going to kill myself because I'm not going to live the rest of my life like this.
Right. So what made you decide? So once you finally wrote, is the way that you said anything about it initially outside of talking to your husband, you put it in the book? Like that's how everybody found out.
That's how everybody found out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to go that route?
Um, it was COVID and I had a lot of time on my hands.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've always been able to write my emotions and my feelings better than I could verbalize them. So I knew that I could get it all out if I wrote it down.
Okay. Wow. That
Even as
sounds
a
like
child, somebody would say, "Well, what's wrong?" I would have to write you a letter and let you know what was going on.
I used to do that. I used to do that with my mom because I just didn't feel like, I mean, of course I love her, you know what I mean? But I realize as an adult now that she had her own traumas. Like my mom doesn't know
Yeah.
how um, to this day, I feel like she still doesn't really know how to speak up for herself.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? She doesn't know how, she didn't teach me how to speak up for myself. It was something that I had to learn when I left home and became like almost in my 30s. I became a radio personality. And I had a friend that said to me, "You have a voice," and I'm like, you know what? I do have a voice. And so that's when
Yeah.
I started becoming more outspoken about things. But I have to be honest, so I did want to ask you this too. Did you block it out? Was it something that you forgot about? Was there ever a period of your life where,
Never.
no, okay,
Every day it was on my mind.
okay. For me, I blocked it out. I had kind of forgotten about it, but I was so young when it first happened. And I don't know what happened to make the memory just start rushing back in. But
It
once
was
I
time
had
for
the
it to be
memory,
released.
that makes sense.
That's
And
what it
even when I
was.
did the memory, I think I told maybe the person I was dating at the time. You know what I'm saying? But I still was afraid to say anything to anybody in my family. I was afraid to really speak about it. And eventually over time, I would mention it to, like, I would just say something like, yeah, I got violated by an uncle. And, but then I would just keep going. I wouldn't talk about it. And people didn't really know what to say, but it was
Yeah.
mostly like friends, it wasn't very much family. And I
Because we don't
started
say
going,
that part out loud.
yes. And I started going to therapy, and my therapist was like, do you have anybody that you trust that you would be able to talk to about it in your family? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I do. And this was only like 5 years ago.
Mm.
And it was a favorite aunt of mine, his little sister. And I finally had the courage to speak to her about it. And the way she responded to me, I could care less if I ever speak to her again.
Yeah.
She basically was like, first she was like, well, why are you saying something now? He's dead
Yeah.
and gone. Why are you saying something now? And that's the thing that I can't stand when people say, well, why are you saying something now? What they don't understand is like so many people get threatened, people are afraid to be shamed. And clearly, people don't believe you.
Yeah.
Even your own family, people just refuse to believe you. And I said that about like the Bill Cosby situation, or the R. Kelly. People are just like, no,
He
there's no
wouldn't
way.
do that.
Yes, yes. And so that was the energy that my aunt gave me. And she was like, well, if you say this so-called, she says to me, he's been around all of my daughters, and I haven't heard this from any of them, four daughters. He's been
Maybe
around
she should
all of
talk to
them.
those daughters.
I mean, one of the daughters likes women. And so she's the one that I'm like, something in me keeps saying, because from what I understand, and I don't know how true this is, but usually when people go to same sex relationships, typically it's because they've had some kind of trauma. That's what I read. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, that's what she said to me. If this thing, so-called thing, happened to you, and I was like, see how you just responded to me? Why the hell do you think anybody would speak up on this? Look at
Yeah,
how you're
exactly.
responding to me.
Yeah.
You're responding to me like I'm lying. And so she basically got off the phone with me like, I don't know. I don't know. She says he was a scoundrel, but I don't know about all that. That's what she said to me.
I think it's important for us and for whoever else is out there who has this shared experience to manage your expectations of other people's responses and reactions. Like your why for speaking and having the courage to speak has to be bigger than someone else's validation or them comforting you. It has to truly be because you are ready to release this, you are ready to heal this, and you're ready to move on. And also to use your story to help someone else release and to heal it. Because I thought when I wrote the book, my mindset was they're going to rally around me. They're going to
Um,
show up for me. They're going to say, oh my gosh, why didn't you tell us? And that's not what I received at all. So, had I managed my expectations and really truly accepted the people that I shared that with for where they are vibrationally and what they have received and accepted as their truth, I could have saved myself a little heartache.
yeah.
And
I
if
know it was
someone is out
really
there and someone,
disappointing.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I know it's very disappointing to think that people are going to rally around you and then the opposite happens.
Yeah, it was. So if there's someone out there and someone feels like you are their safe space, you are their safe haven, and they share this with you, do not immediately dismiss them because they came to you because you feel safe to them. So help them to process it and move through it if you have the capacity to do so. But the worst thing that we can do is to shame somebody for it or to deny what happened to them, deny their experience because it is their experience. And
Yeah,
that
that's
will
what.
stop that cycle of keeping it in for 30 years or keeping it in for so long. And
Yeah,
that helps
because
really
it,
break up
it,
generational patterns in that way.
it's time.
It is.
I mean, historically, we've been told not to talk about what's going on in the house, and it's difficult to tell. And some kids, some people get threatened, you know what I mean? But it's difficult to tell that shameful thing that one of your family members did, you know?
Yeah.
I think for people who are listening to us, like pay attention to your children, pay attention to your family members. If they're acting out, like you said, you were having panic attacks all the time, and, talk to them. It's hard to talk about these things. It shouldn't be nowadays, especially with these Epstein files coming out, but like, talk to the children, ask them. Don't be afraid to go to your children, even if they're not acting out. Go to them, just have the conversation, just in case. You never know. Don't make them come to you. Go to your children and say, hey, let's have this conversation from time to time or whatever. Just because I think if we approach our children, because I did ask my son, I was always like, has anybody done this or anybody done that?
Yeah.
There's nothing for it, just other than what if something happened and he's afraid to come to me?
Yeah.
So I became proactive about asking him, has anybody ever done anything to you? When he spend the night out or whatever. So I would encourage parents, aunts, uncles, whoever to just out of the blue,
Just
especially if
ask,
they
check in with the kids.
just check in to make sure. So you started your healing journey. Was the journey, did it begin by writing the book, or did you say, you know what, I'm about to heal from this, and the way I'm going to do it is write a book first?
No, it started by writing the book.
By
It
writing the
started
book.
by writing the book, and because the title of the book is For the Unhealed Little Black Girl in You. I wrote that from an unhealed space. So that kind of kicked off my healing journey. And when I did not receive the response that I expected, that made me go even harder. I'm one of the type of people, if you tell me I can't do it or I shouldn't do it, oh, I'm going to do it even better. I'm going to go harder. So that kind of fueled my fire. And I was like, watch this. I'm going to show y'all. So I felt like I
Okay.
had something to prove. I didn't realize the healing journey was like this though. So
Right.
yeah. So there were plenty of times where I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to stay the way that I have been because I don't want to rock the boat. I'm already losing family. Certain friends started vibrating out of my reality. But then I was like, you know what? I want to see what's on the other side of this. And that's
Mhm.
really what kept me going because I've always felt like I was here for a bigger purpose and a bigger mission. And now I see my experiences not as something to be victimized by, but as something to assist other people in navigating.
Okay. So how did you encounter Erin Lyons? I remember you told me that you had done some work with her. At what point on your journey did you feel like you needed assistance from her?
So before Erin came into the picture, I was already working with different mentors and uh, I guess psychics and the things of that nature.
Mhm.
So in my book, I actually dedicated the first book to the mentor that I had at the time, and her name was Nikki. And she kept encouraging me, write the book, write the book, write the book, write the book. So I was working with her, and eventually, after I did the mentorship, she was like, Charlmayne, I really don't have anything else for you. Her exact words were, the student has become the teacher. And because I
Okay.
was not fully believing in my own self and gifts, I was like, nah, I gotta find somebody else. so so I did hop around to different psychics and different spiritualists. And there was one who I really, 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 really liked, but I could tell that her vibration had shifted. And I was
Mhm.
like, no, this is the last time I'm gonna talk to you because she just kind of went off the edge. And I was watching um near death experiences because I've always been a seeker of truth, a seeker of
Mhm.
purpose. Why are we here? Why are we on this floating rock? So I
It's all,
started,
yeah.
yes, what is the purpose of this whole experience? So I started like deep diving into near death experiences and what happens when we pass. And one day, Aaron Lyons just popped up on my YouTube feed, and I was kind of binging all of her content. And I reached out, I had a session with her, and she kind of confirmed some things about why I went through the experiences that I did go through, to use that to shine my light as a light worker and to share my story and to work with Black women in this capacity. So when I got that confirmation, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm supposed to be doing this. Um, and then she had someone named Elliot Eli Jackson on her podcast.
Mhm.
And when I saw that, I was like, what the hell? I was like, what the hell was that? But afterwards, I was like, wait a minute. Why am I hearing call and make the appointment, call and make the appointment? I heard that for like 3, 4 weeks. Every time I would get in the
Mhm.
shower, every time I would have a long time. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call and make the appointment. And I did.
Mhm.
And Elliot became my mentor, and I've been working with him since 2024 now. And recently, there was a meeting had, and it was about how, because there's a network of light workers, people who've had different experiences. So recently, there was a meeting had, and it was about content. And I have all the content, right? On my YouTube channel, I have so many videos. And before I started working with Elliot or before I knew who Aaron was, I was sharing my story so much that to me, I felt like I had said all that I can say. But now I am at a higher vibration, and there are so many people who have never heard of Charlmayne, who have never heard my story. So I was reminded to tell my story. And that is the video that you came across. It was me
Oh.
telling that story again from a healed perspective. Because before, I remember I remember when my book came out, I was getting so many interviews. I was on radio stations, I was doing podcasts, and they would ask me, "So how did you heal from this?" And I'm like, "Well, I just moved past it." But the whole time I was still in an unhealed space because I would talk about it and I would get emotional. I would have to fight back tears. And now I can truly say I've healed from it because I could talk about this with a smile on my face here with you today. So,
And that's what I was going to ask you about the crying and the getting emotional. That's how you know. Because for me, a long time, every time I thought about it, I would just cry and I would just be like, why did he do that to me? And, that kinds of stuff. And so now I can talk to you, that same emotion doesn't come up anymore.
yeah,
So that's when you know that you
you've
have moved
healed. You move
or that
past it.
you faking the funk is basically.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, how I healed? All the time I was not healed at all. I was still in the beginning of processing those emotions, but showing up like I healed it. And one thing about it, it does not matter what situation it is. If you try to suppress it or if you try to just act like, oh, it doesn't bother you, it's always going to come back to the surface. And that's why when you ask, was there a time where I felt like I suppressed it or I blocked it out. No, there was never a time because it was always making itself known because I was supposed to release that. I was never supposed to carry that for 20 plus years. That was something that I was supposed to process and release. It just took me a while to understand that was what I was supposed to do with that. But I do think it's important to have a group of, I call them light workers, but a
Mm-hmm.
group of people who who you can be open and vulnerable with, and they will assist you with transmuting that energy and overcoming it so you don't sit in it and stifle your own growth and transformation. Because a lot of people are sitting in it. They don't know what to do with this pain. So they're just
Mm-hmm.
holding it and it's building up walls. It's affecting their relationships, platonic relationships, romantic relationships, and they don't understand why. Why can't I ever have a good relationship? Why do I always feel like this? It's because you have choked this thing down and you have normalized you being in this energy when that was never what you were supposed to do with it. So if it's coming up for you, especially if it's evoking any kind of emotions, sitting here listening to this conversation, take that as your sign and your confirmation that it's time to address it and to release it because your life gets so much better than that. That part, that experience does not define who you are.
Yeah. So, what else do you think what else would you say you did along with writing your book that helped? Um, did you start talking about it more? Did you find, I find that talking about it definitely that's what really helped me a lot. It really helped me really talking to the therapist that I had, feeling empowered enough to even say something to my aunt. But then even after my aunt responded to me like she did, that didn't stop me from, I just looked at her like you're the bad guy.
Yeah,
Like go
once
ahead.
I started, I was not shutting up. I wanted to yell it from the mountaintop. Like I said it, and this is my truth, and I don't care who doesn't like it. It was that kind of energy. So it did help to talk about it, but it also helped me journaling. Journaling
Okay.
was a big thing for me. And then I started meditating. I started taking better care of myself as a whole, my mental, my physical, my spiritual, my emotional being. And it just did not hurt anymore. I was able to see, this person chose to make these decisions and to cause harm to a child because he was a low vibrational fucker. um, That's really what it is. And for the longest, I was trying to figure out how did I, how could I have attracted that? You know how they say everything is energy, you attract what you are matched to. And I'm sitting here like, how did I attract that? So, introspection, journaling. At the time, as a child, because I did not have a mother, I was kind of starved for attention.
Okay.
So, that is the attention that I attracted. Did he choose to make a low vibrational decision and do horrible things? Absolutely. But that freed me from saying, why me?
Yeah.
Why did that happen to me? How did that happen to me? Why not this person? Why not that person? So I was able to get a better understanding of it. And that may be hard to hear. That may sound like I'm victim blaming or anything like or something like that. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm hoping to bring is clarity into why bad things happen to good people,
Hmm. And then children on top of that, you know what I
children,
mean?
the
That why,
most innocent people.
yeah, a lot of people have this attitude. There can't be a God. Look at what children are going through and this kind of stuff. But unfortunately, if you believe like you and I, some things we signed up for before we came here. Some things we the signed up. It's a part of the bigger picture of what our purpose is supposed to
Yes,
be.
absolutely. Because
So,
had I not experienced it, had you not experienced it, we would not be here having this conversation that is going to plant the seed of hope in somebody else. And that's how
mhm.
that ripple effect happens.
And so what would you want someone to get out of this? What would you want anybody, a young girl, an adult, an older lady, a man, what would you want them to get from this conversation?
A few things. The first is the courage to speak. Um, and I also would want them to release the shame that they have been carrying because shame is unnecessary. We've all experienced things that we wish we did not. Release that shame and transmute that so that you can turn your, and this is gonna sound cliche, but you can turn your trauma into a testimony for someone else. And so that you can be a beacon of light and hope for someone else. Because our experiences, they directly affect us, but they are also gifts for us to share with other people who may also be struggling to get through the things that you are getting through or the things that you are growing through. So don't take it as woe is me.
Mhm.
Use that as fuel to fulfill a part of your purpose, a part of the reason that you are here, to plant those seeds in other people, in other souls. That's how we awaken humanity. That's how we heal humanity by sharing our true experiences without filters, without fear of shame, without fear of being rejected. Because a lot of people are holding on to these things because they're like, oh, if I put that out, I'm going to be perceived as this, or I'm going to have this stigma attached to me. The people that it's for will get it, and the people who don't get it, it's not for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I felt. I shared a story of an experience I had with Jamie Foxx a long time ago. I've shared that recently, and I was afraid because it's Jamie Foxx. You know what I mean? He didn't like molest, sexually violent. He just had inappropriate behavior. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I didn't even know how to speak up for myself and be like, "What are you doing? This is not right." You know what I mean? So I was really afraid to share that story for fear of the backlash that I would get because of who it is.
Yeah.
So, but I did it anyway because we have this idea about celebrities that they can do no wrong. And so after holding this story, I've only shared it with like people around me, my friend, cousin, that kind of thing. But I'm like, everybody's putting these celebrities up on a pedestal. I need to just share
Mm-hmm.
experience with this
That's one
person.
thing about it. No one is inferior, no one is superior. We are all one of the same. We are all equal. So anybody that you put on a pedestal, knock their ass off right now.
Seriously. Yeah, because a friend of mine was like, well, are you sure you want to do that? Because what if some of these blog magazines and these blog YouTube channels, what if they get a hold of it and they start calling you like clout chaser and this and that? And for a moment, I was like, oh, crap. I got scared. And then I was like, what? I just story. I told what happened. I shared my experience. I could care less about, the names that people might want to call me or any of that. So yeah, I went ahead and shared the story because it was necessary. People need to know this person that you're worshiping, they are human and they are capable of doing some grimy shit.
Yes.
So,
So you
so
might want
who
to keep your antennas up.
So who are you now on the other side of this, all of this whole experience? Who are you now?
Ah, I feel like I am more me than I have ever been. I am a healer. I am a light worker. I am a voice of truth, love, and light. I
Yes.
am more confident in myself. I am not afraid to say the thing, even if I'm the only one saying it, even if I am standing there by myself.
Beautiful.
And I am someone who really hopes to be a beacon of light, a pillar of light and hope for other people. Because I
Yes.
can't be silenced anymore. It's like once I found my voice, I did not lose it again. I refuse to lose it to anybody or for anybody.
Thank you for that. You are very inspiring. I really appreciate you doing this. Tell people, is there anything else that you want to add before we close it out?
Um, yes, one final thing. Remember that you are the creator of your reality, and there is nothing that you cannot do.
Thank you. So many people need to be reminded of that. You know, when people hear that, they think it's like woo woo or cliche or, that kind of thing, but it's a fact.
It's true.
Believe, believe in yourself. Yeah,
What do you want your life to look like? Whatever that
mhm,
is, you can do that. You can have it. It is not far fetched, it is not out of reach.
beautiful. So tell everybody how they can find you.
Yeah, so I am Charmaine the Goddess on YouTube and on TikTok. On Instagram, I am the Goddess Gateway, and you can always book a session with me or work with me in any capacity on my website, therealgoddessgateway.com.
So once again, what is your niche as far as the healing sessions that you offer?
So I offer spiritual life coaching.
Mhm.
I also offer Reiki services, Reiki certifications as well, spiritual life coaching certifications as well. I also offer crystal surgery and intuitive card readings.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here and doing this. And I'm hoping that once this gets out there, that between the two of us, we inspire at least one or two people to go
Yes, we
ahead
will.
and, yeah, and tell their story and speak out and, expose them. That's what I always say. Expose the demon. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful that you allowed me to come onto your platform and to just be a light to somebody today and to share my story. Because a lot of people feel like they are doing it by themselves or no one understands them. And hopefully, this will let them know that that is not true, that there are people who get it and people who have experienced it and have come out on the other side of it. And this is what that looks like.
Yes, yes. I'm surprised that I don't cry about it. I'm happy, but it was like, wait a minute. I just kind of, I'm like, wait, that doesn't affect me anymore like it used to. I can actually talk about it, and there's not that emotion there anymore. So, yeah. Well, thank you, and we will talk soon. I'll reach out to you and let you know like when it's posted and all of that stuff.
All right. Well, thank you. I look forward to it.
Okay. You have a good, it's daytime for you, huh?
Yeah, it's daytime. I'll have a good
Okay.
morning. You have a good evening.
Mhm. Let me stop recording. Let's see.